Welcome back to the United Pubcast, the official Man United supporters club here in Sydney for your latest Frenkie de Jong update. We've tried to stay clear of the Frenkie de Jong saga over the last week or so because it has been sort of quite tiresome, but I think it is getting to the stage now that sort of Man United are back in Europe and back in Manchester. It is sort of something has to happen eventually on whatever side of the fence. The ball will get rolling a little bit, so we'll touch on the latest in regards to Frenkie de Jong, obviously Cristiano Ronaldo, and maybe just in general, obviously the Man United players sort of return into training. I think they'll probably have a day or two off after the sort of long pre-season tour and the extensive travelling. But you'd assume they'll sort of be back in Carrington and sort of preparing for the season. So got Josh, long way to return. Been a few weeks since the pub guys sort of kind of met you down in Melbourne. It was about 3 or 4 minutes at the pub, but then went our separate ways sort of thing. So it was a quick visit in Melbourne. But talk to me about your last couple of weeks. Obviously went back to Manchester, down in Melbourne. So talk to us, mate. Hope you're keeping well.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, obviously Larry, your co-host, he's followed suit. He's gone for a big tour in the UK and Europe. But yeah, I was fortunate after 3 years of being here to finally go home and see the family, see Old Trafford in person, albeit not to a game, but maybe to the megastore, and see the negativity that we have over here more rampant back at home in England. Obviously, this happened before tour, and yeah, just a really good experience to see the family and come back within a week, and we're off to Melbourne to watch United again, which is great. I mean, the last 2 times we've seen United have been in Australia, so great to see him again. Much better than the last game we watched him on the television. So, yeah, no complaints from me.
No, definitely. Well, we'll crack in. I'll just say good day to some guys in the live chat. Mike, obviously met down in Melbourne. It's great to have a chat with him. Unfortunately, I'm at work tonight, so I can't tune in live. But I appreciate the comment, mate. Hope you do enjoy it watching on playback. Adam, good to have a chat to you last night, mate. Everyone enjoyed that. George, good to see you, mate. Emat as well. I'm in the live chat. Good to see you, mate. Funny looking United kid. I've got this on for Lissandro Martinez. As I said, every Manchester United team should have an Argentinian player. I think it's a prerequisite. So Juan Mata was my favourite player. Obviously not Argentinian, but he was my favourite. I think by default now, Lissandro Martinez will have to be until he does something wrong. But fingers crossed he doesn't. Fingers crossed he's actually confirmed as a Man United player. That sort of broke when we were down in Melbourne, and there's been no sort of confirmation. We need those photos of him in a United shirt, but we'll have that discussion towards the end of the pod. Rob, good to see you, mate. And Dion and Ashby, as always good to have everyone in the live chat. So do get your live thoughts or chats in the live chat in regards to the Frenkie de Jong situation, which we'll touch on now. When this whole saga started, Josh, it was, I thought when the 95% thing happened from the Spanish journalist, I said, well, it's one of those things that'll happen. Frenkie de Jong's either going to sign tomorrow or this news will just go away and it'll be a 24-hour story. Nothing will happen. How wrong was I? It's sort of been front page news every day since for a couple of months now, it seems. So I got that one completely wrong. But as sort of the news is filtered through and different angles and different journalists report on it, one of the sort of specific natures what potentially could happen to the deal is Frenkie de Jong could take a pay cut to stay at Barcelona. Now, it's been such a discussion in recent times. Just look at the Jesse Lingard situation or Ronaldo on a wage cut sort of thing. What happens or what's the motive of these players? And are we right to be critical of these players wanting more money or should we support it, etc.? They're completely different debates. But when the thing with Frenkie de Jong was potentially going to take a 50% wage cut, everyone just sort of laughed at it. Well, he's not going to do that. Of course, he's not going to do that. The latest story is, and who's to believe this story is accurate or not, but let's treat it as true. Let's sort of treat it as a reliable sort of source. Frenkie de Jong is likely to consider the 50% wage cut at Barcelona to stay. Now, if that is the case, here we are. If that's a Man United player, we'll be praising them, say, oh, it's not all about the money. So we're going to have to apply that same energy to Frenkie de Jong and say, okay, fair play. Wants to stay at this club for the right footballing reasons. However, I want to point this, and not to be critical of Erik ten Hag, I absolutely love Erik ten Hag, not to be critical at all. But if this is the case and Frenkie de Jong does decide to stay at Barcelona on reduced wages, we always look at boards, we look at owners, we look at the Glazers, we look at Richard Arnold or Ed Woodward or Matt Judge in terms of the success of these transfer windows and the outcomes of these transfer windows. If this deal goes sour and Frenkie de Jong stays at Barcelona on reduced wages, my finger is directly pointed at Erik ten Hag. And I hate to do that. I don't want to be critical of him, but this is on Erik ten Hag at the moment if this deal goes south for me.
Why would you say that?
He has to move. Surely he's in discussion with Frenkie de Jong. Surely he is in discussion with him saying, do you want to come to Manchester United? And if the answer is resulting in Frenkie de Jong saying, I'll stay at Barcelona for reduced wages, that is a clear answer. No, I do not want to join Manchester United. That's a clear answer. And if he stays on reduced wages, that is just a complete waste of time and a waste of energy by, not to say Erik ten Hag's investing his own energy into this. He's obviously recommended the player for the board to do, but to not move on to plan B and get played by a player like that, in my opinion, again, not to be critical of Erik ten Hag, if he wants to play, obviously it's a high risk reward situation. But if he gets this wrong, I can't see Man United sort of implementing a plan B or a plan C this late in the transfer window when all our eggs have been in the Frenkie de Jong basket.
I mean, I agree with you there. I think it's not so much really on the responsibility lies on Erik ten Hag. I think responsibility lies on a lot of things. We don't know what's happening on their end. As Dion rightly put in the comments, it's really hard to filter through all the nonsense and the biased reporting. You don't know what the logistics are behind his contract. I mean, I'm hearing that if he puts in a transfer request, he loses the right to earn, a proportion of his wage that hasn't been paid. I mean, I'm still trying to get my head around Barcelona signing all these players anyway, and they're being bankrupt. That's a myth to me. I mean, if they're bankrupt, I want to be bankrupt. They're signing some world-class players. They've got Lewandowski. They've got Aubameyang. I mean, they're getting some good deals over the line for a bankrupt team. But I think for me, what I do agree with you is that the longer this drags on, the harder it's going to be to implement a contingency. And you just think, if you're not going to get in, get that contingency, because unless he's thinking, the players that we've got in that position have done good enough on pre-season tour to warrant that consistency. Fair enough. I don't think so personally. For me, I still think we need a player of this quality. But the longer it goes on, I think it'll be difficult to get the contingency or the plan B, or we'll revert back what we used to do and spend big money on a contingency that ends up probably not working out and being a really ridiculous signing. And if you look back to that conversation in the pub where Richard Arnold meets the fans, it just ends up being, hypocritical and doing what he essentially doesn't want to do.
Yeah. Well, this point here from Adam is United must know he's okay to move. Why else would still be on this deal? Which is the logical thinking, but putting United and logical in the same sentence, I don't think it's something we've done over recently this season. So we are, I think, in my opinion, to the right to be sceptical in regards to United sort of dealings in terms of making sure they're doing their due diligence. So yes, surely United sort of have word, and Erik ten Hag has word that Frenkie de Jong is willing to sort of come to Manchester United. But at the end of the day, would it shock you if they finally get this deal and Frenkie de Jong says, no, I'm not wanting to join, and he goes to Chelsea or something like that? Would be like a dagger to the heart, but it wouldn't be surprising at all. And Emad here saying, that's on the assumption that he's had that conversation. If we don't get Frenkie de Jong and another midfielder, I'll still rate this as a successful window. So the question there, I'll throw to you, Josh, off that comment from Emad. Yes, if the players, some players can be so important. Maybe Frenkie de Jong is so important to Erik ten Hag. Maybe that is the case. But I just think we need quality in midfield. So, okay, we don't get Frenkie de Jong, we'll maybe bring in another quality midfielder, and who knows, in a year's time, he might prove to be a better signing. Frenkie de Jong might go down with an ACL, so I think we might get a better sign. Who knows how that's going to happen? However, do you believe in the club? You talk about a contingency plan. Do you believe in the club to shift their focus at the last couple of weeks of the transfer window when prices get inflated in terms of when that panic sets in? Do you back United to go in and sort of get the right plan B or get the right plan C? Because me being cynical, and I don't want to be, I want to back this board. I want to sort of back the process and everything. Unfortunately, I don't believe they can do that.
Well, look, the only contingencies that we have that we've been, historically linked to, maybe not so much in this transfer window, is Telemans and Neves. And what you're going to be paying for them is probably what you're going to pay, what we were linked with de Jong previously. The later you leave it, a club like Leicester's, a club like Wolves, they're going to want to, have some sort of compensation for not having some of their star players this close to the start of the season. You're going to be playing, you're not going to be getting any less than 40 million for either of them. It'd probably be within the 60 million, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Well, just moving on, it's kind of a similar discussion, but it's the opposite discussion, because here's one of our players sort of potentially moving away, and we're talking about a player potentially moving to Manchester United, but similar sort of discussion in my opinion. Just in regards to Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, I don't want to have the discussion in regards to Ronaldo's love for the club or desire or money or everything. Just look at we've had that discussion, and we're going to continue to have that discussion in weeks to come as this sort of does play out. I just want to have a look at the facts of what is at hand at the moment in regards to, we talk about Erik ten Hag's decision in regards to moving on from Frenkie de Jong or sticking with Frenkie de Jong. on the tour where the players were in Bangkok or Melbourne or Perth, wherever, whatever our thoughts on why Ronaldo stayed home, do you agree with it? Do you disagree? He was there. There was no point discussing it anymore because he wasn't going to get on a plane to come to Melbourne. So it was just put on the back burner. Okay, it is what it is. Sure, he's keeping fit. Sure, he's training, but he's not going to join up with the team. It was a non-issue. Well, now the players are back in Europe, 2 weeks out from the season, less than 2 weeks out from the season, now becomes a relevant discussion. Okay, what's Ronaldo doing now? Because there's no point Ronaldo showing up to train in Melbourne on the other side of the world, but now he's an hour away. You get on his private jet, he's an hour away from Carrington. He needs to be at training now. Now, what does Erik ten Hag do? Now, I'm sure now we can have a discussion. Does Erik ten Hag want to team without Ronaldo or with Ronaldo? I'm of the assumption that he does want Ronaldo in that squad. Now, is he starting number 9? Who knows? But I think Erik ten Hag does want to keep him. What does Erik ten Hag do decision-wise with Ronaldo now? Because let's say, I hope he returns to Carrington. If I'm a betting man, the betting money would suggest that he's not going to be at Carrington this week and he's going to continue to train by himself. So as the manager who wants to keep Ronaldo, let's say he does, what's his decision here? Because two things. What's his decision? And also, if you can think of it, answer it at the end of your sort of response, what's the bigger decision now? How he deals with his Ronaldo situation or how he deals with the Frenkie de Jong situation?
I think the Ronaldo situation is a bigger situation because he's currently a player in the club. You look at this tour period compared to probably the last tour, but I know we've not had a proper tour period since COVID, but last year we obviously played the teams in England. You look back on it, it's a very successful tour. You know, you're scoring 10 goals in 3 games, conceding three times, some of them stupid goals, but we look relatively well set up without Ronaldo. And it probably draws on the season before last. You know, you look at a team without Ronaldo, they're not bad. They play with that confidence. I'm not putting this confidence to Ronaldo not being on tour. No, you know, we've got a new manager in place, a new system in place. You can see that system being implemented. But with Ronaldo, look, he's going to want to sort out once an outcome. You're hearing rumours that Madrid are preparing a 15 million bid offer, looking to offload Griezmann, who we've been linked to multiple times. Wouldn't be surprised if we're linked with him again off the back of this. Becoming a new Wesley Sneijder at the moment. But you're lucky, Ronaldo, regardless of what he does, whether he's with us or whether he's not with us, he needs to get that fitness and be, playing pre-season. So, personally, for me, I don't actually expect him to play, if not one of the last 2 games, at least one of them. We're going to play 1 or 2 because they're consecutive days. I think one's on the Friday and one's on the Saturday. So, look, it's very rare that you're going to get 2 teams playing. Both those games. It's going to be separate teams, but he's going to want a pre-season.
Look, you hope so, but who knows how this situation sort of will unfold. But just on that, you mentioned sort of potential business going out, and get your thoughts in the live chat in regards to this. Because when this rumor came out, I just laughed at it and said, who even writes this stuff? I thought about it for a few hours, and I can actually see this happening, Josh. Now, tell me I'm wrong, and tell me your first instinct when you heard this. It said Ronaldo could leave on loan. I said, what do you mean he could leave on loan? Of course not. That's not a possibility. Apparently, United have a potential trigger in the contract to extend it by a season, potentially. So it's a 2-year contract, and they reckon they have the option to extend that further. Let's say that is true. Now, that could be wrong, and this all sort of blows up in my face. However, let's say United can extend that contract. A loan deal, as stupid as it sounds, I could see it. And this is not to say I agree with it or it should happen, but just in terms of suiting all parties, United don't want to get rid of Ronaldo. They don't want to get rid of Ronaldo, the player or the brand or the legacy, what he means to Manchester United. They do not want to get rid of that. But Ronaldo wants out. Ronaldo wants Champions League football. Now, I don't think Ronaldo wants away from Manchester United, like the club itself. I think he wants away from Europa League football. I don't think he cares about the club. Like, he cares if it's Atletico Madrid or if it's Juventus or Man United. He wants Champions League football. It's not him wanting to leave Manchester United because he doesn't like United. So in this thing, let's say Manchester United tie him down to a 3rd season. Well, we can't offer you the Champions League football at the moment. Let's keep you on our books. You can go to Atletico Madrid or Real Madrid, wherever. You go play a year of Champions League football and come back and have one last final season with us when we return to the Champions League in a year's time. Now, if Man United don't return to the Champions League, that obviously blows up in their face. But I'm just thinking, am I delusional in thinking in terms of that suiting all parties, that suiting the club, in terms of not getting rid of Ronaldo, not burning their bridges, Ronaldo getting what he wants of Champions League football, and obviously the allure of still playing for Man United in a year's time. As I said, when the news broke, I thought, nonsense. How can you loan out Ronaldo? The more I think about it, I can actually see it suiting everyone. Not that I agree with it.
I don't think it's a ridiculous statement, but Ronaldo could leave United this transfer window. I mean, whether it's a loan or a sale, I don't think either of those comments are ridiculous. I think for a loan, if you have the year to extend, that's feasible. But it might put to the bottom who pays out those ridiculous wages.
United.
United. But do they? They're going to pay.
Well, if he goes on loan, if he stays a Manchester United player, I don't see how United would weasel their way out of that. I think United would cave to Ronaldo's demands by letting him go on loan. I think would cave even more to his demands by continuing to pay his wages.
That comment by Adam is an interesting one. Would he go to Atletico? Does it completely destroy his Real Madrid legacy? I mean, do you think there was ever it's the same thing? You could draw it back to the Man City thing. Was there ever any way to that? He'd say no, but you never know. I think
I don't know what's going to happen. Where can you see it happening if he's to leave? If he's to leave Man United this window, whether it be on loan or a permanent deal, where does he go? Because we've had this discussion many times that Chelsea's potentially the only option. Does Man United sort of do that deal if he is to leave? Where do you think the favourite is at the moment?
Like I'd say, back to Sporting or to Atletico. I think he wants. Look, he's 37, going on 38. He's going to still want to play at the top. He doesn't want to have one of his final seasons in Europa League. I think when you sign for United, look, there's no guarantees that you're going to be successful. And look, that's what's happened ultimately in this first season. We've had a piss poor season. We've ultimately underachieved. And next season is going to, if he stays at United, we're playing in Europa League and trying to progress into a position where we're going to try and get back into the Champions League. Are we anywhere near winning the league? Probably not. I know we've had a fantastic pre-season. It's easy to get excited. We've won a few games. We beat Liverpool 4-0. We've had some good games against, Melbourne and Crystal Palace. It's easy to get excited, but ultimately, you look at that first game against Liverpool, and we beat them 4-0, but you could see the quality in a team that hasn't had a pre-season and how far away they are in comparison to us. He's going to want to play at the top level and play in those Champions Leagues, and we can't guarantee that. And he's getting old, and there's things that he wants to do in his career. He wants to go back to Sporting Lisbon. I think that's a guarantee. I think he will go back to Sporting Lisbon, whether that's this year whether that's this year through a loan or through us selling to Sporting Lisbon. I don't think that's going to be the case. And I think if you explore the loan option and he ultimately comes back to us, when's he really going to go back to Sporting, which is ultimately where he wants to end his career.
Look, there's no end in sight in this. I think this is something that will drag out, unfortunately. And Emad makes a point here: the longer this drags out, the more it tarnishes his United legacy. This is my fear, however. I don't think. Look, I understand and I share the fear. However, I don't think that is the case. I think it will be something that in 2-3 years' time it'll be forgotten about, and we'll just remember the goals and trophies, sort of thing. I think emotion is high at the moment, and it'll hurt, and we won't like it, and we'll lash out in frustration. I think ultimately, in a couple of years' time, it'll be. It's a shame. It ended like this, but we'll remember the better times.
I hated Carlos Tevez for 4 years we go into City, but now
that's starting. Ferguson's looking at a bad light there.
I appreciate how good he was for us. I still rate him as probably one of the best players in my years growing up as a United player in terms of what he brought to the club. So you look at it differently.
I think we look at Jesse, and not to put Lingard and Ronaldo in the same category, but Lingard at the moment is public enemy number one. You're thinking, look at what an idiot, how he's behaving, sort of thing. I think in 10 years' time, when he retires, we look back at that FA Cup final and his time academy product went on, had a good career elsewhere. I think we'll say, he did well at United. At the moment, we're sort of saying, "I'll get out of our club," sort of thing. But that pain does ease over time. But I do share that fear with Ronaldo, and that is why I do want a quick resolution. Now, I do want him to stay. If Erik ten Hag puts his foot down and says, "I'm selling you tomorrow," 100% go for it. Okay, but I do want a speedy resolution. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to get that. Fortunately, but there are sort of one or two more, I see, technically current players. It still is Ronaldo's current player, but I do want to discuss. Ugly, good to see you, Matt. Haven't seen you here in a while. Hope you're all keeping well. Just on that, in regards to current players, and we'll start with this, obviously wearing the Argentinian jacket, Lisandro Martinez is one of them, and obviously Christian Eriksen is the other. I saw a photo of him holding an umbrella, welcome to Manchester sort of thing. And then we might as well, could have been in Melbourne or Perth as well on the tour, considering our weather. They were both announced on the tour. Now, Christian Eriksen was officially announced in regards to, saw the interviews and everything. I don't think he had any photos, but we saw the interviews. Lisandro Martinez was announced, penned in all the paperwork sort of thing. So that's actually not quite over the line. It is over the line, but not that official sort of confirmation we do like as fans. let's say that is going to get done very soon. Let's hope that's in the next 24 hours or so now that Man United are back in Europe. Less than 2 weeks of the season, Josh. They haven't played any preseason games. I don't know if Martinez played any games with Ajax. I highly doubt so. Correct me if I'm wrong in the live chat. Eriksen hasn't played any games. Martinez, who's £50 million worth, so he's going to go straight into the first team, you would think, hasn't played any football. Surely they're back. Surely they're training with the team this week. Like they will be. That they have to be. They will be. Again, I look back at Manchester United over the years, and it wouldn't shock me if I don't see him until the end of August.
I mean, yeah, look, we've seen that before. You know, Ronaldo had that big injury in 2008-9. I don't think his first game was until late August, early September when he came back into the squad. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. But look, I'd expect them to be training. I think you look at Martinez and you say he's going to be a starter for United. Look, he probably is going to be a starter. I don't think any of our defenders have done a disservice over to. I think they've all been pretty consistent. 7 out. I mean, all of them you could rate them probably 6, 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
The abuse Maguire got, I thought he had a pretty good game. I know we conceded 2 goals against Villa. I thought he had a pretty.
I think he's had a decent pre-season, to be fair.
Yeah, he has. He has had a very good pre-season. Same with Lindelof. He's looked pretty calm. I know he's had a few. I think he was a bit suspect for the goal against. I think for the second against Aston Villa, even he was a bit suspect for that. And Eric Bailly, the Eric Bailly cycle, he's not done. He's been pressing. He's done the Phil Jones. A little bit of a rejuvenation in that midfield.
Well, they reckon Roma and Jose Mourinho, obviously, was it Mourinho's first signing? No, Ibrahimovic would have been the first signing, I think. Or might have been Eric Bailly. Do let us know. I think Eric Bailly might have been the first signing under Jose Mourinho. He obviously wants to bring him to Roma.
Yeah, look, there's some defenders obviously aren't going to be a part of the squad, but I think he's got to have a few dilemmas, Eric, in terms of who his starting front two are. I think probably you look to Maguire and Martinez. But look, you can't fault really any of the defenders. And so Luke Shaw's performed with what happens when you get competition with Shaw. He pushes the boundaries and excels himself. He's done the same over time. Hopefully he'll carry that onto the season.
I just want to throw this comment here just from Ugly, just after this one from Rob. Eriksen trains this week. Martinez still waiting for a visa, but hopes he gets minutes before the season. So yeah, look, it'll be interesting to see when that situation with Lisandro Martinez can get resolved. Fingers crossed it does happen soon. I just want to direct this one to you, Josh, and just your thoughts on Bruno Fernandes, because you talk about all these players in pre-season. Sancho and everyone's done so well. The back four, I just say no one's sort of put a foot out of the place, and let's say they're all sort of 6, 7s out of 10s. Everyone's had a solid pre-season. Bruno Fernandes is sort of probably Man United's sort of main man, whether you agree with that or disagree with that. He's a big personality. He's a big player. And he's one of those players where we have questions when Erik ten Hag came in. Is he going to be sort of suited to the system? What's his sort of ball possession stats going to look like? Ugly here saying if Bruno has another poor season and seems on pre-season, he hasn't exactly set the world alight to Ten Hag. Drop him now that you'll have Christian Eriksen. So not so much the question in regards to dropping him for Christian Eriksen, but what have you made of Bruno Fernandes in regards to pre-season? Because yes, in terms of what we know of Bruno Fernandes, assisting, creating goals, scoring goals, yes, that hasn't been there. However, and I don't think he's sort of set up any trees in terms of the way he's played. However, the main takeaway I have from Bruno's performances this pre-season have been what I wanted to see. They've been disciplined. I haven't seen him closing down goalkeepers, going past Martial or going past Sancho or Rashford like a headless chicken. I've seen him stay in his position. Now, has that been enough for Erik ten Hag? Has that been what Erik ten Hag wanted? Is he in the right position for Erik ten Hag? That's for him to decide. However, from what I did want to see, I'd not sort of going needlessly pressing players for no reason. I'm actually pleasantly surprised from what I've seen from Bruno.
Yeah, I thought the latter part of that comment's a little bit harsh from Ugly Bear there. I think he's actually had a pretty good pre-season, if I'm being honest. I think with Bruno, you probably just associate him with goals and assists, probably the former more because, he's had to overcompensate with how poor our front attack has been in recent years. And I think the fact that you've got Martial scoring, Rashford scoring over pre-season, it's sort of overshadowed what he's actually effectively done on the pitch. And ultimately, he's been a bit more consistent in that number 10 role. I thought what's impressed me the most with Fernandes is that he waves off the competition. He's more look like an actual proper number 10. He's passing as well. We had this conversation, you wouldn't have him as a captain because he's too inconsistent and gives the ball away. Yeah, he's done that quite a few times on tour. But there's a lot more consistency to his passing, and I've been really impressed with that. looked like a proper.
That's what I mean. I just think there's been more discipline to his game, and he hasn't been fantastic, but I just think he's been solid. And sometimes with Bruno, you either get brilliant or woeful. But sometimes I do like a solid performance.
Yeah, and although he's not been like directly assisted goals, I'd say he's probably been in there within the goal opportunities. He's the pass before the assist and the lead up play. But he's had a pretty good pre-season.
It will be interesting. I think that it's a good sign in regards to bringing Christian Eriksen in. That's why it's a good sign, because if Bruno Fernandes isn't performing well, you have the perfect replacement to come in. So I think that is exactly what you do need. I think Bruno's done enough to keep his spot at the moment, but if he doesn't,
I was going to say, I'll tell you what, though, in terms of the key positions, like defence, midfield, attack, you've had players that have really needed to perform in this pre-season, and they have. Look at Rashford and Martial as an example. In midfield, you look at Bruno as an example. Defence, suppose Harry as an example. He's really, not really put a foot wrong besides that first goal against Melbourne. Whereas players which you thought, would have made a bit more of an impact, they haven't. I know, for example, McTominay, he's had a few injuries, but he's had a little bit of grit, but he's not set the world alight. But the one for me, Anthony Elanga.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. We all played these games when Erik ten Hag arrived and said, okay, this player's going to suit it or this player won't. It is interesting. But just on the fullbacks, then the one player, we discussed him last night, me and Adam, Diogo Dalot, I think he's really taken his chance. But there's another from Adam in regards to the fullback situation. What are you guys' thoughts on Brandon Williams' links to Brighton, fee around 15 million apparently? Look, I like Brandon Williams. However, I do think the future is best for all parties sort of moving away. Now, I would like to see him stay. I wouldn't lose any sleep over him taking a sort of role in the squad. However, Manchester United don't get 15 million for players like Brandon Williams. Now, that is what he's worth, in my opinion. I think United should go and get that, maybe 15 or 20 million for him. But as I say, and I know it's a different time, different situation, but the way we sold Van Persie, Nani, and Raphael for less than 3 million combined. When I say 15 million for Brandon Williams, you have to do that deal tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I don't think he's good enough for United, in all honesty. I know he had a very difficult loan period. He got the game, he got the minutes, but the loan period against a team that's probably destined for relegation every time they're in the Premier League, it's tough going. I don't think he offers no more. He offers a lot less than Luke Shaw. Offers a lot less than Tyrell Malacio, who was just signed. I think he's best of all parties for him to leave. Diogo Dalot, I thought he's been fantastic, and he was probably one of the players that you thought potentially could leave. I know Aaron Wan-Bissaka is looking like he could go the other direction now, but he's had a fantastic pre-season. I'll tell you what shocked me the most. He's actually our lowest wage bill player. I think he's on like 25k a week.
Is he? I think that much, is it? Rob here saying, really hope Martinez gets to start with our high defensive line. We have no pace, which is dangerous. Martinez has it. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think you can play systems, you can play tactics and everything. Certain individuals change how those tactics look and everything. It will be interesting to see what influence he does have on the back four and Ugly, just in regards to that. Bruno. Yeah, I think Maguire, when he plays well in a high line, when you're on the attacking foot and you're playing forward and you're on the ball, he will look good. It's when that ball goes in behind. It just matters in terms of how that press. Can we stop that ball getting in behind? If the front three stop that long ball, well, Harry Maguire's fine. If the front three is unable to sort of stop the other team playing out from the back, that is when you can get exposed. So that comes back down to the individuals and obviously the team. But Ugly, just in regards to that Bruno discussion we'll have, and I just feel it's judgment season with Bruno Fernandes. He's been at Man United for 2 or 3 seasons now. It's time for him to perform or move on. And I think that's the case for Bruno, correct? But I think for every player. But Bruno obviously, I wouldn't say has a target on his back, but it's signed a big contract. So, yeah, it is time for... Now, I think Bruno's performed for a long time, but he needs to keep performing. And obviously the eyes sort of will definitely be on him at that area of the pitch. And just one more before we just move on to one last topic to wrap up. Adam, if Curicella, the Brighton player, does go to City, I do feel like Brighton will go in for Brandon Williams. Look, it does make sense. And, you do wish Brandon Williams all the best. Now, just one player has been linked. Now, how reliable these links are, Josh, I'm not sure. And I'm not expecting you to be an expert on him because I only heard the name about 12 hours ago. But I got here Benjamin Sesko. Now, I think he's from the Leipzig club, maybe RB Leipzig. Do let me know if I've got that one right. Salzburg is one of the Red Bulls. Do let us know in the live chat. And just if anyone does have any input or any info on him, besides YouTube scouting, do let us know. Not so much him as an individual, because I know nothing about him. I don't even know if that's how you say his name. The need for a striker, with or without Ronaldo. How's United pursuing this? Is it fully dependent on Cristiano Ronaldo? Are they going to sort of sign a striker regardless? Just what do you think Erik ten Hag and the club is thinking at the moment in regards to, because this name is picking up a bit of pace, whether it's reliable or not, I'm not sure. But the striker rumours, they're still there. They're not going away.
It's just a classic tab under one for the future, Tom. 19 years of age, no major club experience. I think he's been on loan when he's been at Salzburg for the latter 2 years. I think he had his first full season last year where got a bit of exposure to European competitions. I know he scored a goal in, correct me if I'm wrong, potentially a Champions League qualification and maybe 5 goals in the league. So, and I think that's from 24 starts as well. So look, he's not playing, the full season, and it's clear he's being nurtured into that position with the sort of.
What's the profile of striker? Let's say Ten Hag needs a striker. He wants to go get a striker. Are we buying someone, a 19-year-old, to one for the future? Are we buying someone to be better than Anthony Martial and that main number 9? Are we Ronaldo the main striker and we're just signing a backup option? Like, what type of striker, if you're the manager and you're hell-bent on bringing one in, what type are you bringing in this window?
I don't think a replacement for Ronaldo, because I don't think he'll leave personally. I think he stays. I think this link is more for backup. Yeah. I just can't really see United wanting to sell Ronaldo. I think they'll keep him there. I know you mentioned a loan deal seems a bit preposterous and out of the question, but then again, it could be a little bit believable. I just think, I just don't see him leaving. I suppose, look, we'll get a clearer picture in the next week or so when we play those 2 remaining friendlies and see what the situation is. But this player, he's linked for us, not as a replacement for Ronaldo. It's again one for the future. Yeah. I think he'll get a handful of Europa League games if he plays for us, potentially the Carling Cup and the FA Cup sort of games, and maybe off the bench in the Premier League when you're 2-0 up with 80 minutes gone.
Or George here, does Ralph Radium? Yeah, very much a link in terms of Ralph Radium was here. You could understand the link. I think it's one of those things that will be interesting to see. Because Erik ten Hag, all the links so far have been with players he's whether got a relationship with or the Dutch sort of thing. It's a bit of a weird sign-in, or a weird link in regards to what Erik ten Hag has been rumoured to be interested in. And Rob here saying, and look, he's banged this drum for a little bit in regards to Scamacca. Not a player I've heard too much about, but obviously a lot of clubs around, or as I said, a lot of people do believe he's going to go to West Ham. I think he was strongly linked with Arsenal sort of thing. So he does seem to potentially be that's sort of next big thing in regards to strikers that clubs are always after. It will be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, I just saw Erling Haaland scored his first goal for Manchester City. Let's hope he doesn't sort of get the ball rolling too soon, because you do want a slow start for him. And Adam here agreeing with Rob. Agreed, Rob will definitely take Scamacca at United. It does seem, I think Rob's right there in saying it does look like West Ham has stolen a march there. It might even be confirmed, who knows. But just on West Ham, I was going to bring him up earlier in discussion, Josh, and we've had plenty of debates regarding this name. I'm just saying Frenkie de Jong doesn't happen. Talking about West Ham, let's say they're going to spend a bit of money bringing this Scamacca guy. It has just all gone quiet. Now, this is not me saying go out and get him. Everyone knows my thoughts on Declan Rice. But my God, that is quiet. In terms of a transfer window where a lot of money is being spent, there's a lot of movement. I understand that the price is off-putting for Declan Rice, and I agree it's off-putting for a reason. No one should be going in for that type of money. However, there should be a little bit more movement around Declan Rice, because surely clubs will want to steal a march. Obviously, Jude Bellingham is obviously very likely to go to Liverpool next season. So everyone, I think, will be on the march for a midfielder next season. I'm just thinking, are you surprised that there's no sort of real sort of strong links with Declan Rice, or do you think simply because of the asking price, everyone's right to sort of stay away from him?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of an outrageous asking price, isn't it, really? I think Mo's just gone a bit off the books to try and deter anyone from putting a bid in. Seems to have worked, to be fair, because no one has. But how many years left has he got in his contract? I think is it 1 or 2 years he's got left?
Not sure what his situation is, no.
I think it's. I don't think he's out of contract next year. I think he could possibly have two years left in his contract. I think someone in the comments, Rob, you usually clued up on this. If you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's 2 years. So I don't think there's any urgency to go in and buy him. But yeah, you definitely, if it's 2 years, you definitely see a lot of activity next year. Otherwise, you risk going for free.
Yeah. Just on this one, just to wrap up.
How United finish. finish. I mean, if United finish top 4 and have that Champions League, they have a massive chance of signing him. And I know he loves playing at Old Trafford. He loves the atmosphere. I think he'd be definitely one to get next year. This year, probably not so much. I don't think he'd leave, especially being in the same position that they are in.
I think it's a name that will pop up in the next couple of weeks, but I can't see any sort of concrete action from any of the clubs. But just one comment here, we'll bring it back to the Ronaldo discussion to sort of to wrap it up ugly here, saying a lot of Man United fans can't understand why Ronaldo isn't in pre-season. We get he wants to leave, but there is an etiquette in leave, and Ronaldo has literally said, F you again, just on this one, because look, as I said, I understand a lot of people are frustrated with Ronaldo, and rightly so. As I said, we're very sort of hypocritical as fans. If this was Anthony Martial or Paul Pogba, I'll be having a very different discussion in regards to Ronaldo. I fully accept that I'm a hypocrite in regards to this, but I think all football fans are, and we're sort of clouded by success and our love for a player. And what Ronaldo has done is in a very sort of small group of contributors to Manchester United in terms of the success he has helped bring the club, arguably our greatest ever player in our greatest ever period. I think a lot of people think of the 90s or the late 60s sort of thing. Our greatest ever period was when Ronaldo was here, and our greatest ever he was the main man behind that. Now, yes, we did have a great squad. And is that right to sort of say, oh, he can do whatever he wants because he did that? No, of course not. He still needs to be treated like any other player. However, as I said, we are hypocrites in terms of we are going to treat people differently. And just where do you sit on it? Because yes, I can sit here and agree it's not good behaviour. I understand he's trying to force a move away, but it's one of those ones where if Frenkie de Jong starts forcing a move away from Barcelona, we'll say, yep, we want that character at Man United. So again, sort of pot calling the kettle black sort of thing. But just where do you stand on the relationship with Ronaldo at the moment, seeing that he is, say, forcing a move away? Is it something you sort of just deal with and sort of can live with, or are you starting to sort of not turn on him, but get a bit annoyed?
I don't think I can get annoyed. I'm hypocritical just due to what we've done for the club in the past and the success he's brought us. I know that's wrong to have, but look, he's 37 years of age. It's not as if we've got a player in his prime that's doing this. And I know that's a poor mentality to have, but we don't know the full reasons as to why he's not gone on tour. He's got personal reasons. You know, it's very easy to say, you know, touch wood, none of us ever have to experience that, but his wife has obviously had a miscarriage early in the year, and there might have been implications on that. It's harsh for me to even speculate on that. We don't know the reasons, and it could be because he's annoyed he's not leaving. It could be because he's got personal reasons, and it is what, you know, Eric Ten Hag's said in his press conference. Look, we are hypocrites. If this was Maguire, we'd be fuming. If this was Paul Pogba, if he's still with us, he'd be berated. United are hypocrite. I mean, the same fan, you use Maguire as an example, the same fans that are condemning the abuse he's got in Australia are the same fans that go behind a keyboard and call him slabhead and a fridge. You know, At least the fans of Maguire, at least the fans in Melbourne say it to his face, literally, and boo him.
Yeah, no, they definitely did. To find them as fans or not, who knows? But they definitely were.
We're fickle, Tom. That's it. We're a fickle fan base, and we just get used to that.
And this is where, look, I understand this. For me, he can jog the F1 and never come back. Look, I understand the frustration. In a couple of years, you'll be wanting Ronaldo back, or you'll be celebrating him, Dion. It's just one of those things. I understand the frustration. He's a club legend. You'll love him in a year or two's time. I understand it hurts at the moment, but we do need to respect what he has done, because he's one of those players. If another player was to do this and force a move, would question their commitment when they come back, would question their ability to deliver. Ronaldo will put 100% effort in, which is something we can't expect, or we can't.
It's one of the hindsight's a fine thing, Tom. Ronaldo could leave. Ronaldo could leave this summer. We could have Martial and Rashford carrying on the fantastic form they've had in pre-season. We finish, let's say, third, win a domestic trophy, and we say, you know what? In hindsight, we have had this debate: should Ronaldo ever come back to United? And everyone's just like, yeah, you know, it's ridiculous to even debate this. But you could be reflecting on that in a year and say, you know what? Maybe it was a bad decision, but for me, it might have been a bad decision in the long term, but I'll never ever forget the atmosphere in that Newcastle game in the first.
Oh yeah, no, that was well worth it. Whether it was a right sign or wrong sign, that day when he signed, that was almost worth it. He didn't say not emotional, mate, just another player. It's one of those ones where, for me, he's not just another player. What he did achieve at Manchester United was special, supporting Man United in those years. And yes, in terms of being black and white, yes, he is another player, but ultimately Man United isn't black and white. There is a lot of grey area, and he was special at Manchester United, in my opinion. But it is all about opinions, and obviously we're going to be having many Ronaldo discussions over the next couple of weeks. I'm sure it'll get far more sort of hostile and volatile towards him if there's no resolution to
I'll
this.
give you a little bit of a fun fact, Tom. The last time I was on the podcast, I think it was end of May, and we were discussing United were linked. I think the podcast title was United were linked with Anthony and Jong, and maybe the left back from Villarreal. Still linked with them. Maybe we'll still in with one of them.
Well, it looks like potentially Pau Torres is going to go to Manchester City. And now, look, I love his Lisandro Martinez. I'm all aboard the Argentinian train. Pau Torres is still the one I think we should have got. Hopefully Martinez is brilliant. I'm going to fall in love with him when I see him in the red shirt. But Pau Torres to Manchester City, I can see us having a discussion in 6 months about him being the best centre-back in the Premier League. And I think we have missed a trick there. But fingers crossed our defenders perform, whether that be Martinez, Varane, Lindelof, Maguire, etc. I'm not sure. But just one last one here. From Ugly saying the thing is Ronaldo hasn't had a face-to-face with Ten Hag. If papers are to go by, he should have gone pre-season, understood. Eric Ten Hag plans if he... Look, the discussions obviously hasn't had that face-to-face. Who knows what discussions they have had in regards to moving forward. Now, Eric Ten Hag, whatever he does want from a team, he wants Ronaldo in his squad. Now, he might want him off the bench 5 times in a season. Who knows? But I'm sure any manager... given the option, would prefer Cristiano Ronaldo in their squad. So it will be interesting to see what influence Eric Ten Hag does have on both Ronaldo and obviously the board's decision. But Dion here, we should have bought Laporte. Yeah, a couple of years ago, obviously linked with him before he went to Manchester City. The way he adapted to English Premier League football definitely would have been a good signing when you do see some of the central defenders who never quite got going at Man United. And Adam saying, I'm very excited about Martinez. Ajax fans only have positive things to say about him. I think that is always a good sort of judgment in regards to a new sign in terms of the way if another club's saying, oh, I hate him or he's no good sort of thing, it's probably a good sign as well. But in regards to the character around a player, I think it does seem like Martinez will be a little bit of a fan favourite, which is positive to see. But just about wraps up. 45-minute pod tonight has flown by. Good to have Josh back on the podcast, a long time. Make sure you do leave a like on the video if you enjoyed the discussion. Plenty of different opinions in the live chat, which is always good. I hate when everyone sort of agrees with me, so having different opinions in there is always good. Gets me thinking, and hopefully my side of the fence triggers a discussion in your mind as well. Always good to have Josh on. Make sure you are subscribed if you're new, and hit that notification bell so when we do go live, you can join us in the live chat more often. But do appreciate all the support. Josh, pleasure as always, mate.
Oh, great to be back after so long. Love literally tuning in from the UK and seeing how fast the podcast is growing. I remember when I did my first one 1.5, 2 years ago, struggled to maybe get 20 listeners on Spotify. Now we're getting hundreds and 300 listens after maybe 45 minutes after release. It's incredible. Congrats, guys.
No, do appreciate it. But as I said, make sure you are subscribed. Whether we're back this time tomorrow or we'll see when there's a little bit of breaking news. Who knows? Fingers crossed we're back in 20 minutes with a Frenkie de Jong signing or a Christian Eriksen photo or something. But maybe this time tomorrow or the next day. But until then, we'll chat to you when we chat to you. Cheers.
Cheers. Speak soon.